Hello, I'm Brian Foster, and I am recording this on January 9th, 2021. Welcome to my vlog on Spiritism on my YouTube channel, all about Spiritism. And before I start, please subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell to be notified of my live streams and my other uploads of videos. Now, this is going to be an unusual talk. Now, this is my opinion on the Christian prophets in their prophecies in the elections of 2016 and 2020 for the United States. I want to go over what these prophecies were and what it means as far as either proof or our relationship or other people's relationships with the spirit realm. I am doing this to examine the data points to see how close we are on earth to the spirit realm. They have told us when we begin to be a planet of regeneration, there will be more and more people with mediumistic abilities. There will be more people prophesying. There will be more people telling us the future. Now, have these people actually been told of future events? Now, again, this is my opinion, and I am not taking any sides in the political spectrum. This is because I have already made known my political philosophy in my book, The 1,000-Year March Towards a Just Society, and for the reason that all events on earth are relatively unimportant, since we are immortal spirits and we'll outlive the sun. The earth will be dust. We will still be living. All this will be a distant, forgotten memory. Now, for some background, so you can see where I'm coming from. I am a spiritist, and I am convinced that future events are entirely foreseeable. In my own life and in communication with spirits during spiritist medium meetings, my wife and I have received messages concerning our personal future, which have come to pass. Now, Spiritism tells us that our lives are a set of predetermined experiences meant to edify us in our quest to become a pure spirit one day. Even though we must live through certain trials and tribulations, we always have our free will to make decisions during or how to analyze the results of these occurrences. Nevertheless, here on this planet of atonement, where we must pay for the wrongs in our past lives, we must all travel through a pre-planned curriculum to lead us in the path to the light. This also goes for whole nations. Concerning the future of the United States, according to Spiritism, the U.S. is destined to be the mind of Spiritism, while Brazil is destined to be the heart, meaning the passion, the philosophy, and the core messages from the spirit world will travel via Brazil, while the ability to transmit the messages and to actively set up spiritist centers and hospitals and so on throughout the world will fall upon the wealth and organization of people in the United States. And in messages to my wife and I, spirits have told us that America, who once stood for life, liberty, and justice for all, will return to those roots and cast off the corporate consumerist dictatorship that have shown itself within the last decade or so. America is meant to facilitate conversation and friendship, not to stifle debate and shut down independent avenues of thought. After all, the road to believe in Spiritism is within us. It's not to be imposed by outside forces. Now, I want to talk about the prophecies concerning the 2016 election. I first became interested in the Christian prophets during the run-up to the 2016 election. I read about the prophecy by Mark Taylor, the ex-fireman, who brought us word that Trump would be president for 2 terms, and other prophecies besides. But for this talk, I will concentrate on the elections only. Searching further, I found other Christian prophets, such as Kat Kerr and Kim Clement, heralding the victory of Trump. During the time before the election, this outcome was extremely doubtful. I am sure there may have been others correctly calling out the future, but I am not here to exhaustively list each person and their prediction, or better, the interpretation of the messages they received from the spirit plane. The main point is that few called for this victory against all odds. In examining the writings and videos of Mark Taylor, Kat Kerr, and Kim Clement, I found them to exhibit telling signs that they have indeed spoken with the other side. Again, in my modesty, I'm not placing myself on their level, only expressing my opinion upon the accuracy of their gift. One of the signs is the language used. This is one of the great difficulties in communicating with spirits. They speak very precise, but this preciseness doesn't always fit the poor selection of words that form in our minds. Hence, invariably, we seem to misinterpret many of their statements. I am embarrassed to admit the number of messages we received, my wife and I, and thought we knew what they meant, only to find out later what they were really trying to say. The fault is entirely ours. Now, please keep in mind that complex ideas and communications are being transferred from a world in which thought is action and there is no time passing. The spirits see objects in their entirety, beginning, present, and end, to our 3D world in which everything, including our time, is limited. Nevertheless, a small set of prophets were able to correctly identify the messages from the spirit world. The other telling point is the use of signs, where an action will occur only after some event has passed. Since time does not exist in the spirit world, as it does in our world, exact dates are hard to pin down for spirits. I would also like to add that for the prophets I have seen or read, they did not overtly ask for money or donations. Although opportunities existed, they never urged people to give. Again, this is a sign of a true prophet. If they demand recompense for their services, their psychic abilities would fade away. High spirits will not communicate with them. Now, while these wonderful mediums have to eke out a living in some manner, they certainly weren't the stereotypical evangelists demanding money from their congregations, so they may buy a private jet. On the contrary, they all exhibited humbleness in their messages, and they said their messages were directed through them, not from them. In summary, I do believe that a small group of people in the English-speaking world were gifted with revelations from the spirit realm. If one is looking for proof of a higher power, this is one small data point. Let's carry on now to the prophecies concerning the 2020 election. In the run-up to the 2020 election, there was a vast widening of people who were predicting a Trump victory. Steve Schultz of Elijah List, who hosted many prophets, such as Kat Kerrigan and Dutch Sheets, and the program Flashpoint on the Victory Channel led by Gene Bailey, who also hosted many prophets, and other independent prophets like Chris Yoon, and even others from other countries such as Australia and India. All of these people were adamant in their conviction that Trump would win. Now, the election was held, and Trump was not declared the victor. Yet, of all the prophets I saw or heard, none of them recanted. They all continued to believe that Trump would somehow eventually become president in a consecutive term. As an example, Kat Kerr told us before the election that Trump would win in a landslide. Then, after the election, she said that by landslide, it meant that everything would be exposed. All past corruption and bad actors would be discovered and would have nowhere to hide. To many, this sounds like backpedaling or making excuses. Not to me. This has the flavor of a person rediscovering what a certain word really meant. People should always keep in mind that a prophet is trying their best, but that correctly relaying what was told to them by superior spirits is a very difficult task. Then, January 6th went past, and the electors were ratified, declaring Biden as the elected president of the United States. Again, to a person, the prophet said that Trump would still sit as president. These people have kept the faith in the midst of unrelenting pressure against all misdirection by the media. The social wave of anger by the seemingly victorious side was quite depressing to see. But one constant theme for most prophets was that the U.S. is in a Red Sea moment, where all hope is lost, all options are closed, and the army of darkness is closing in. As the Jews looked upon the army of the Pharaoh and could only think of impending death, so too are many who voted for Trump thinking of their ultimate defeat. Now, I shall stop my analysis here. The date today is January 9th. Trump has not been declared president Yet these prophets are still saying he's going to be president, that a Red Sea moment will occur. I will have a part two. I'm not going to upload this video until I have part two, until maybe after January 20th or before, depending on what happens. Then I will analyze what I think would happen. Either they were correct or wrong and what may have happened. But this is all very interesting, and it's something that we should all analyze to determine how the spirit world talks to us, how some people get it right and some people get it wrong. And a lot of times it's no one's fault. It's just human frailty, human misconception. So let's find out. God bless.